Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I want us to do a painting, a watercolor painting, and we are going to do something that is a little bit unusual in the watercolor world, and that is to do it entirely in the wet on wet technique. That means wet paper with a wet paintbrush and lots of paint. And the good thing about this technique is that it allows you to get a very soft painting, and I want to try it. I want to see if I can do it. Come along with me. Let's make something pretty. You can see here that I'm going to get the back of the paper wet. Now this not only allows the paper to stay wet for a longer amount of time, but it means that it won't warp as much and it'll stick to the table quite well so that I don't have to do any type of taping or anything like that. If I notice it starting to warp, I can always just go back in and get the back of that paper wet again. Now I'm going to be going in with a triad. This particular paint set doesn't have any proper yellows, reds, or blues. I guess it does have a few blues there. So I'm just going to go in and I'm using a pink for my red, and I'm using, it's almost like a green gold color for my yellow. And I'm just going to go in and I'm dropping color in here and there and everywhere without giving any type of thought one way or the other as to where it's going or where I'm putting it. This is going to be a fully wet on wet technique. That means I'm not going to be drying the paper at all. It's going to be wet the entire time as I paint it. In some places, it does start to dry out a bit, but that's just the natural process of the paper. I don't artificially go in with a blow dryer or anything like that and glaze. I'm just doing my best to keep everything nice and wet. You can see I have a paper towel ready on the side there for getting up any paint that I put down too thickly. I also use it to get the excess water off of the paintbrush. Now let's talk paintbrushes for a moment here. The one I'm using is a silver black velvet number 8, and it is a very soft brush and it holds a lot of water. Now, because I'm doing a wet and wet technique for this whole thing, I figured it would be best if I have a nice soft brush with lots and lots of water capabilities to it. But there's also another brush that could work well with this, and that's called a Creative Mimic, and it has like this blue handle on it. Now, a Creative Mimic is a synthetic brush, and it's a little bit stiffer, and it doesn't hold quite as much water. They are both very good paintbrushes, and I would highly recommend either one. I absolutely love them. But for this particular painting, I wanted everything to be very soft and very just to have a very light touch, as I went in. So I went in with my nice soft silver black velvet. As I go in, I am making an attempt to not darken up the shadow areas too much. You know how you always hear about value this and value that, and you have to have your values correct or else your painting isn't going to look right. Well, I'm focusing more on color, not value. That means that instead of darkening those shadows, I'm just going to put a different type of color in there, and I'm going to reserve that color mainly for the shadow areas. In the end, we will see that as being a shadow area, even though the value isn't necessarily darker. Now, the paints I'm using are my Kuretake set. It is the smaller set made by them, and it's mostly one thing I'm being very careful to do is to not put complementary colors one on top of the other. Now, because everything is so wet, all these colors are blending on the page and creating new colors as they blend. And if I were to start putting complementary colors one on top of the other, like a red on top of a green or a purple on top of a yellow, then I would end up with mud. So I am being aware of that and I am being careful as much as possible to not do that. You can see there that the paint is already not spreading quite as much. The paper is starting to dry out, but that's okay. This is watercolor. It's fun. It's unpredictable. It's going to be doing its own thing on the page, and I'm just having fun with it. In places where the color starts to go outside the lines and go into areas where I might not want it, that's okay. I just rinse off my paintbrush. I dab it off on my paper towel so it's not too wet, and then I can just pick that color right up. This paper is 25% cotton paper. I really don't use the 100% cotton stuff too much just because, I don't sell my paintings. I don't make any money off of this. And it just doesn't seem worthwhile to me to pay top dollar for 100% cotton paper when I can get such beautiful results with the 25% stuff. So, it's just something to think about and something to consider next time you're shopping for paper for your watercolor paper. I did find this reference photo on one of the Facebook reference groups. If you're looking for good reference photos that are free to use, there are so many free reference photo groups now on Facebook. And, cameras are so good these days. You can really find some nice stuff. So I would recommend you guys just go into Facebook, type in reference photos in the search bar and go to groups, and you will find, most likely, you will find multiple groups where you can get free reference photos. Now, I don't really like the color that had formed in that particular patch on the rabbit, so I'm just adding some clean water to it, and then I'm dabbing it up with a paper towel. Now, it's very important when you do this to not rub back and forth. That will destroy your paper. You just want to apply some clean water and then gently dab it up with the paper towel. That way, you get the color up, but you don't destroy your paper in the process. All right, let's get to the Easter eggs, shall we? This is an Easter piece, and this little bunny here is going to be protecting several eggs, and I decided to do them in the same pastel colors that the rabbit is done in. I'm trying to keep everything very cohesive as far as the colors go, and to keep a very cohesive color palette. Now the paper has dried quite a bit by this point. You can see the paint isn't spreading quite as much. I am applying it rather thickly. That's one of the nice things about these Kuretake paints is that they can double as a gouache if you need them to. So I'm using them quite thickly as I put the color down and just getting those colors right. And I'm trying to add just a little bit of shadow in there just to indicate the roundness of the egg. And of course, lifting a highlight out. Now I have my big squirrel hair mop brush out, and I'm going to be adding some more color to the background to make this bunny pop out a bit more. I'm going with a darker forest type green, and I'm going in with a lot more of that beautiful golden yellow color. I never really liked yellow for so long until I realized that it was the very pale yellows that I didn't like. But this darker, warmer yellow color is just gorgeous and beautiful. Now I'm using a mop brush as I do this so that I can get lots and lots of wet, juicy paint down on the page so that it can blend in with itself and with the colors next to it so that I can have a nice soft background. You see how using a wet on wet technique just leads to such soft results? And guys, I'm not even working on 100% cotton paper or working with professional level paints. I got to try this with the professional stuff just to see what kind of a difference there is and if things get even softer. I wonder if the color would be even harder to control. It would be quite an experiment, I think, just to see the differences in it. Maybe I'll be making a video about that sometime. For now, I'm just very happy to be playing with color and playing with water and seeing what I can do to get these very soft results. Time to get the grass in around this bunny. Again, keeping things nice and pastel-like. We are in the world of pastel now. If you like this video, do give me a like and subscribe. I put out videos every single week, and I would love to have you around to see more of what I do. And I always give out little tips and tricks as I paint. And I don't call them full-on tutorial videos because I don't see myself as necessarily being a watercolor teacher or anything like that. So I hesitate to call them tutorials, but I do give out a lot of tips and tricks as I go through my process. And I always, well, I almost always release a short video like this one that is narrated and has a voiceover where I explain everything that's going on. And then a couple days after that, I release a full on, full time video that is just set to some ambient sounds or ambient music. And you can see minute by minute, paint stroke by paint stroke, how the painting comes together. And I don't do any talking in that particular video. It's just set to ambient sound. Now I'm getting that last Easter egg in there, and I decide to go in pink because, come on, guys, you can never have enough pink, right? Now, one thing I want to mention about um, color, talking about the pink made me think of it, is colors can be very fugitive. That means they can lighten, if not disappear entirely over time if you have them on display, like if you frame it and hang it up. So, especially when dealing with materials that are not professional, like these Kuretake colors, you want to find a spray or something that will protect your painting from UV light, and that'll help prevent fading of the colors in your piece. It's just something to be aware of if you do plan on, putting something like this up on display. If you're just gonna keep it in your notebook, keep it in your sketchbook, keep it in a drawer, then I think you're fine. right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I will see you in the next video. Lita out.